I like it spooky.
All right. Hey, what's up, hardheads? Welcome back to my channel. And today we are doing a top 5 Christmas holiday horror movie, I guess. And today I have a special guest with me. Um, he is pretty much the founder of Horror Zine. He is also the founder and editor-in-chief of Ghastly Grinnin', which I love that blog or whatever. And it's also a reference to Are You Afraid of the Dark, which I love. And he's also part of the Screaming Cast podcast. So yeah, give it up for my homie Ryan Larson.
Yo, hey, what's up, Bobby? Thanks for having me on.
No, of course. Let me bring this like that. Cool. So how are you today, man? How are you? How are you feeling?
I'm good, man. I obviously have some time off for personal health reasons, but other than that, no, I'm good. Like I can't complain. I'm ready for 2020 to be over and move on to bigger and better things. But I do, enjoy a lot of the things that have come out of this year, like becoming friends with you and being able to do things like this. So it has afforded me that time to do those things.
Yes, I always said that 2020, everybody knows 2020 is like the worst year ever and it sucks. But I will say it brought a lot of us together, a lot of us horror fans and stuff together, and kind of give us opportunities to do things like this, like you just said. So I will say I appreciate 2020 for that. I'm not saying that it wouldn't have happened at all, but I guess 2020 forced us to do things like this with each other, So.
Yeah, I think so. I think it accelerated the process, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I am grateful to meet a lot of you guys, and especially you. I just wanted to just say that you've been a true support system on Twitter, and just an overall awesome person to be there for people in the horror community all over Twitter. You just been like a great friend in that aspect, and I really appreciate you for that. And you just, as far as you even reaching out to people, as far as if they're going through something personally, depression, or just whatever it is, you want to be there for them, and I really appreciate that about you.
Wow, I'm blushing. Normally not on camera, so I don't have to like hide it. No, thank you. I mean, them, and honestly, I had someone for my day job because I run a Starbucks, and we had this big like leadership thing last week. And one of the things they asked was like, "What's your mission?" Like not associated to Starbucks at all, right? Like, what's your personal mission as a person? And mine was, like when I thought about it, I want to make sure I'm in contact with knows that they're not, matter what, I like that's my goal. If you run into me and anything like on social media, like you happen to see me on Twitter, like my goal is that I hope if something were to happen and you need someone to talk to or just need that support, that not only am I out there, but there's a lot of people out there for you. So that's cool that like it's always nice to know that it's working a little bit. So I'll take it.
I don't even say a little bit, a lot, man. Like, and just know that all that is just not going unnoticed. Like, a lot of people see it, and I'm sure a lot of people appreciate it, and I know I do for a fact. And I don't know, you're just overall awesome, man. Just keep doing your thing. We really appreciate you.
Thanks, man. I mean, yeah, no, hearing it makes it even better, right? Like I'm gonna do it no matter what, but it's always cool to know that like it's seen and appreciated. Like obviously that's not why I'm in it, but it helps, right? And it kind of like gives you that like little bit of like serotonin boost.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I'm happy to have you here today again, like I mentioned already. But let's get into some fun, my homie. Let's get into some fun, man. So obviously the holidays is around the corner. Well, actually, no, the holidays is here. Do you do anything in particular or special to prepare for the holidays, or you just kind of go with the flow, or do you not really celebrate?
The last couple of years before COVID and obviously like all of the pandemic, we had a pretty big Friendsgiving that we would do, and then Christmas. I don't have any like special traditions really. The last couple years, I've made sure I fell in love with this YouTube. Blumhouse did this YouTube series called 12 Deadly Days, and it's a Christmas like anthology, and that came out like 3 years ago now. So I've watched that every year leading up into Christmas. And then, you know, I got like my standards, Black Christmas and, you know, like A Muppet Christmas Carol and Jingle All the Way. Like I got my Christmas movies that I need to watch. But
Same.
other than that, like I don't have any like big traditions, like not like really like gathering wise or like friendship wise or anything like that. It's kind of just like watch my movies and like I usually get together with my family at some point. We did a Zoom Thanksgiving this year, and I imagine we'll probably do it for Christmas too. But no big traditional stuff, right? Like as a kid, we would always drive around. My mom would buy a big old one of those tins of popcorn, and we would drive around and watch or look at all the Christmas lights. And then when I got older and I moved to Sacramento, the like rich area is all decorated, so we would go walk that. But now I'm in LA and the pandemic's happening, so I'm kind of like, I'll probably just watch my movies.
Yeah, totally. And it's so funny you mentioned the tins of popcorn. Are you talking about the one with the 3 different flavors?
Oh yeah.
I always go for the caramel. I always go for that
I'm
part.
big on that cheddar popcorn. Yeah.
I haven't had that in so long, but that was definitely my jam. When my grandmother used to like bring the big tin home, I used to just be right in it. But that's awesome. Same here, man. As I got older, like I try to create like my own like traditions with like my partner and like my friends and stuff like that. And like my family's still involved, obviously, but now that I'm an adult, I kind of want to do like my own thing, but still incorporate like my immediate family. Um, but like you, as far as movies, I do have my favorites as well that I have to watch. Like, I have to watch like Scrooge, and Jingle All the Way, and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, those type of movies. And I mean, I could go on and on and on. But and like you said, with COVID going on, there's not really much that you can do this year. So,
Yeah.
I guess we just won't be in the house watching Christmas movies.
Right. And as movie fans, what else could we ask for, right?
Exactly. Okay. Well, let's get into the nitty gritty here as far as our top 5 horror Christmas movies.
All right.
Okay. So one more question before we get into this. What do you look forward into? Like, what are your must-haves in Christmas horror movies? Like, what do you expect to see when you watch a Christmas horror movie?
Right. So for me, I want it to feel like Christmas, right? Like I understand that, the big rage now that has occurred in a lot of like the discussions on film Twitter, like it's fun to find out a movie is like secretly a Christmas movie, right? Because it like happens at Christmas or whatever. I don't want that. I want a movie to hit me over the head with its festivity. Like I want I want themed Christmas kills. I want Christmas lights. I want decorated houses. I want snow, and if there's not snow, like I'm okay with a California Christmas movie, but get creative about it. Like what?
Yeah.
It's the same as like Halloween movies, right? Like I want to feel like I'm in the season. And
Exactly.
so the more decorated and festive a movie is, the more likely I am to be like, yes, this is 100% my jam.
Yes, that's my same answer. I feel like when I get into a Christmas horror movie, I need it to feel like Christmas, okay? Like you said, I need to see the lights, I need to see the snow, I need to hear maybe even some like Christmas like jams in the background. Like I need to just like it needs to feel like Christmas, because you can't, like you mentioned, you just can't have like a horror movie and call it a Christmas horror movie just because there's like a Christmas tree in the background or it's snowing outside or whatever. Like, okay, cool, but what's Christmas about it? You know what I mean? Like, I need the overall theme of it. So, same here. I need it to feel and be Christmas in my Christmas horror movies.
Yes, absolutely. No, I'm super on board for that. And I mean, it's the same with all my Christmas movies, right? Not just horror. Like my
Mm-hmm.
favorite Christmas movies are the ones that feel the most like Christmas, like we just mentioned, National Lampoon and Jingle All the Way and
Mm-hmm.
Home Alone, like movies that hit you over the head with Christmas.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's get into the top 5. So I'm starting off with you
Cool.
since you already guessed. What do you have? You're gonna start from 5 going down to number 1. So we're gonna start at the top. So
Okay.
number
Okay.
5. What
And
do
we'll
you
go back
have?
and forth. My number 5, then your number 5.
Yeah.
Okay. So my number 5 is okay. This is my controversial pick, right? Controversial.
Okay.
My number 5 is 2005 Santa's Sleigh, starring Bill Goldberg, the wrestler.
Okay. Dude, I could show you my note right now. That is my number 5.
No, it's not. Santa's Sleigh
I
is.
swear to you. I swear to you. With Bill
Oh my goodness!
Goldberg.
I didn't even think it was
Yeah.
on your list. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I love that movie
No,
so much. But go ahead. Go ahead.
me too. I think I caught it on TV like years and years ago, and I was just like, "What is this?" And ever since then, like, it's one of my favorite movies to just like turn people onto who've never seen it because it's super cheesy, right? But I think it's like it knows that, and it's winking at the audience the whole time, and like it plays with its camp, and it's so over the top like Christmas. I mean, Sam's literally on a killing spree. He uses the reindeers. I love the whole claymation like background on like how the whole game was formed off like a curling game with an angel and a demon. Like I think the movie is just like it knows what it is and never tries to be anything more than that and leans into it, which makes it so much fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's definitely my like my sneaky. I was gonna say, that's like my sneaky number 5 because I not a lot of people have seen it, and it's one of my favorites. Like every year, everyone's seen like the classics, which some of them are on my list. But like this one's always one of those ones that I'm like, I bet you haven't seen this kind of slasher movie starring Bill Goldberg from the WWE. So yeah, that's my number 5.
Dude, that is so crazy. I wasn't expecting that from you either. Because I seen this movie maybe like years ago, like on Comcast on demand or whatever, and I was like, oh well, Bill Goldberg, he's cool, and I like Christmas horror, but like how bad can it be? And it's funny that you say that because like the movie knows what it is. Like it's cheesy, it's silly, it's crazy. And what also captured me is the beginning of the movie where you got like Fran Drescher, and then you have Rebecca Gayheart, and just that crazy scene in the beginning where he comes from the chimney and just like he kicks the dog and stuff, which I cringed at because I love dogs, and it was just a lot going on in that scene, and I was like, oh my gosh, this movie has me. And just, I mean, come on, you got Fran Drescher getting her hair blown up in flames and drowned in eggnog. Like it's so good. It's so good. And then the rest of it is just, it's like you said, it's cheesy, it's campy, but it's so much fun. So much fun.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't talk about it enough. Like I don't see too many people talk about this movie enough. So I definitely have to dig in the crates for this one. So I'm happy that this is on your list as well.
Yeah, no, it's I've seen more people talk about it the last years, but it's definitely one of those, like, to me, it's definitely built to be a cult classic, and it's just so, like you said, even that opening scene, you're right, with like, and that Chris Kattan and James Conner in it too, like it's just like they give you all these famous people that he just like brutally, savagely murders in these like super comedic ways. I think it's like a guaranteed fun time, right? So like I'm stoked that it was also your number 5. We're getting the word out there now for Santa Sleigh.
Yes, definitely. For all you people out there that's going to watch this, watch Santa Sleigh this year because you won't regret it. It's amazing. I love it. Okay. Santa Sleigh, number 5 for both of us. What you have for your number 4?
So my number 4 is definitely one that, again, I think this one was slept on only for a couple before people really came around on it. And it's become, one of my favorites for the holiday season, and that's Krampus. From Michael Dougherty. I'm a huge Trick or Treat fan. Yeah. Which is, I mean, Trick or Treat's like my favorite. Yeah, I see the poster and the Sam and everything. Yeah. It's one of the best, right? So like I love that he kind of did it with another holiday, and it was just cool to get like Krampus is this like really cool legend that hadn't really been tapped into like until this movie, and now we've seen a bunch of it, but like it was kind of hit and miss. And I love all the practical effects in this. The creature works is awesome. The cast is stacked. Like Toni Collette,
Yes.
Adam Scott, David Koechner, Alison Tolman. Like it's just like a ridiculously good cast, top to bottom. And again, just feels like Christmas, right? It's one of those ones. It's super snowy out. There's a family forced together that doesn't really like to be with each other. We get like the gingerbread man. We get like all the crazy gifts and like the reindeer again, and like just like Krampus himself. I think it's like a total blast.
Yeah, he's terrifying. It's definitely on my list. It's not here. It's not number 4, but
Gotcha. Okay.
But
All right.
yeah, but Krampus is
All right.
Another good one. A lot of people talk about Krampus. It's like a lot of mixed feelings with Krampus. Like as far as what other people think of the general public. Like some people hate it, or in the middle, or some people love it. I'm actually one of the people that grew to love it, because when I first seen the movie, I just said it's okay. But then the more I watched it, I grew to love it more, because being as though that, Michael Dougherty is coming off a Trick or Treat, right? And that's rated R, and Trick or Treat is just amazing. It's like it goes there. So I kind of expected the same thing with Krampus, but then given a rating PG-13, but then I gave it the benefit of the doubt, where not all PG-13 horror movies are horrible. Like there's a lot of great PG-13 horror movies. So I kind of went in with the expectation of just like, it needs to be like this, and that, and it didn't quite hit it there. Like it just didn't hit the nail on the head with that. But then throughout the years, when I watched it more, I grew to love it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I think a lot of people get turned off because the ending is pretty dark.
I love it. And I love it. And
yeah,
I love it.
I know, me too. And I think as like horror fans, we're used to that kind of bleak ending, right? But like the general public is kind of like not. So I think that's part of the reason. Like, I mean, I remember I went opening weekend and saw it with an open, like the theater was like almost full, and so many people like straight booed at the end. They were so pissed.
Seriously?
Yeah, and I was like, it's a horror movie. Like, what did you guys expect?
Right.
So
Come
so
on.
I think that turns some people off to it, especially like Christmas movies are usually hopeful, and like I get it, but like I think it's a really smart like kind of twist on that normal Christmas trope, right? So
yeah, I mean, look, you have to do it. Like, if you want to movies to see a movie called Krampus, and it's kind of, the trailer is screaming horror, like you can't, what are you going to expect? You know what I mean? You can't get mad at it. And I love the ending because it kind of leaves the ending to your interpretation of how it ended. Like it just like, oh well, are they kind of, I talked about this with the horror queers as well, Joel and Trace, but we kind of talked about like how the ending, you either think that they're stuck in their own purgatory and they gotta relive Christmas over and over again, because just how, I guess, that filter over that particular scene looks, or they are experiencing that all over again. But Krampus is watching them because obviously he got them on the snow globe. He's making sure that they don't mess up again and things like that. So they got a second chance. I like the first one better. I like that they're stuck in the purgatory and they gotta live this Christmas thing over and over for the rest of their lives, because that's scary. Y'all messed up the first time because y'all took it for granted, and now look what happened. So yeah,
I like that interpretation.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy you had that on your list. So yeah, but my number 4 is Gremlins.
A classic. I left it off my list. I know. Sorry. It was going to be on there, and as I was making it, I just threw some other stuff on there instead. But I mean, it's a classic.
Gremlins is amazing. It's a classic because that was one of the first movies I watched when I was younger, and it's comedic, and it's also have a lot of scary moments in it, especially when they go through the progression from the Mogwai and then into the actual damn gremlin and all that craziness. And that movie just screams Christmas again, and it's just a good time. I love that movie so much. I love it. It has a lot of horror elements in it too. People actually die in it. They die in goofy ways, but they get murdered. So Yeah, and it's just something that I watch every year. I used to watch with my family every time it came on television. I had to stop and watch it. It was just one of those movies that I guess for nostalgic purposes, that's why I love it. But um, even though I low key love part two a little bit more because I have more fun with that. But part one I say is more horror than part two. Part two is more comedic where when they're in New York and the New Year's Eve thing or whatever. But part one is a little bit more scary in my opinion. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And yeah, I mean, I think Gremlins, we probably grew up around the same time, and like Gremlins was such a big like gateway horror for so many of us, right?
yeah,
So, I mean, I always love a good old practical effects gateway horror movie. I think that's, if anything, the 80s and the 90s gave that a lot that we unfortunately
hmm
don't get too much in this generation anymore, you know?
yeah,
But like we got a lot of live action gateway horror kinder trauma stuff in the 80s and the 90s, and Gremlins is like a perfect example of that, really that perfect balance between comedy and horror to like suck kids in but not get them too scared.
yeah. And that's why I appreciate it. I appreciate the 80s and 90s so much, just because not just with the practical effects, but a lot of the content was original. Where nowadays everything is being remade or turned into a sequel from a movie years ago, and it's like I don't mind that, but I feel sorry for the newer kids of this generation that don't really have too much, you know what I mean? Okay, well, Grim's number my four is my number four. What is your number three?
Cool. So my number three is another. So if you ever listen to like my podcast or kind of follow me on Twitter, you'll see that I'm actually, as much as I love all horror, and I grew up like originally watching the Universal movies. And I'm obviously like a big fan of the 80s because of the slashers boom. Like my big area of like love is contemporary horror. Like I'm a really big fan
Okay.
of like the 90s, the aughts, and now.
hmm
So it's another newer one, and it is 2016's Better Watch Out by Chris Peckover. Um,
I just watched that.
okay, yeah. So if you haven't seen Better Watch Out, it's basically, I don't want to spoil anything, but it's kind of like a really demented, twisted, super, super, super dark humor version of Home Alone.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think that our two leads, Olivia DeJonge and Levi Miller, are both like very, very believable, super good, like carry like the whole movie kind of on their back. And I think that it's honestly like a really mean movie, and like it goes a lot of places that you don't expect it to. And there's numerous times where you like something starts to happen, they're not going to do that, are they? And they do, and you're like, damn, I
And they
can't believe
do.
it went there. And then the ending, I think, is really great. Like, kind of pulls the covers over your eyes. Like, really loved like where the end went to, but just even speaking of the last, again, it just feels so much like Christmas, right? And I think this one
Yeah.
especially, it taps into that Home Alone feeling, which already like resonates Christmas in me. Like as soon as I think Home Alone, I think Christmas. So the fact that this one does the same thing, oh, it's a Christmas movie, and it kind of feels like Home Alone too, and that's like double Christmas for me. So yeah, this one is definitely worth checking out if you haven't seen it. Like it's mean. It's meaner than you expect. I remember going into it and being like, "Oh, I see what they're doing here," and then as the movie kept, wow, okay, like I did not expect it to go that far, but it like I think they earn it, right? It's not like forced or for shock value. And it's
Yeah.
just, this is another one that just came out in like 2016. Every year, I find myself like coming back around on it more and more. So,
Yeah.
big favorite.
So good. I watched it for the first time last year, and I actually went into that movie not watching the trailer because I wanted to go into that blind, and like that movie got me out of here. And what I mean by that is just like like my mouth was kind of like almost on the floor a little bit, just because I seen the references towards Home Alone that is like pure a darker version of Home Alone, as you said. Especially with a certain situation with a paint can, but that's all I'm gonna say.
Yup,
Um,
yup.
that's
That's
all I'm
the
gonna
big one.
say. And my mouth literally fell to the floor in that part, and that's all I'm gonna say. I'm not saying anything else about that movie as far as telling the plot. But yeah, that's an overall Ryan. That's a great one. I love that movie so much. I found that to be a part of like my annual viewing of Christmas horrors now, just because it's just that good. And better watch out. Good one, dude. Good one.
Thank you.
No, of course, of course. Well, my number three is Black Christmas '06 Black Christmas.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
I love that movie. I love that movie.
me,
It didn't
me
make my list, but I love that movie.
No, I had to put it on there just because I remember first seeing this movie in 2006. And I was probably about 18, 17 when that movie came out. And I just loved it because it was just such a mess, but I loved it. I love every part about it. And then I used to love Michelle Trachtenberg, because I was a big Nickelodeon kid, and when I see her like in a horror movie, I was like, oh, she's on here. Then you got Gretchen Wieners from Mean Girls, Lacey Chabert in there, and you have it's a crazy cast on there. It's a good cast. So for the movie that it is, it's a lot of fun. I will say that movie knows what it is as well. I don't think it takes itself too seriously. And I think a lot of people get upset comparing it to the original, where the original is serious, where this one is kind of just like it's campy. It's much campier than the original. And I think being as though that it knows what it is, I appreciate that a lot more. And I have so much fun watching it. And this movie, how we went back, I'm going back into like the beginning of this conversation where we say that we have to have like the whole Christmas like aesthetic and the whole situation in our movies. And this movie had it. Like it has the lights. You got somebody being strangled with Christmas lights, ice unicorns and things like that. It's snowing. It's just Christmas music in the background. It's just the movie is shot beautifully. It's amazing. So I had to put this on my list just because this is one of my favorites. This movie gets a lot of flack. A lot of people don't like it. I love it because like for all the stuff that I just said. And people should learn to appreciate this movie more because it's just that damn good and a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I love this movie. I'm a huge advocate and fan of the slasher boom in the 2000s, right? When they started remaking all the slashers. And I think Black Xmas for me is, like you said, that cast, like on top of it, the three you mentioned, you got Katie Cassidy and Mary Elizabeth Winstead. And then, you get a returning character from the original for her cameo role. And then, I love the lighting in this, all the lighting. Like, even the finale, there's like the Christmas tree, like what I'm talking about, where it's like
like
on and off, and
yeah,
and the whole scene where like Mary Elizabeth Winstead and the teacher go outside of the garage. That whole scene feels so like Christmassy. No, I love this movie. That's a great pick. It did. I'll say it made my honorable mentions list. But I really truly enjoy this movie, and I agree with you. People just gotta stop fighting it, just give in and have fun with this movie.
Yeah, it is what it is with this movie. Like I do agree with some things, like with how people feel as far as character development. Like a lot of people wish they had more chance to spend more time to get to know the characters as far as the young girls in there. The backstory I feel does drag on a little bit too long, where they could have just maybe put that in the beginning of the movie, and then the rest of the movie we spend more time with our main cast. I do agree in that aspect because I like these characters and I would like to know more about them. But for what it is and what we got, I just appreciate it, and I'm just like, whatever. I'm going to put it on every year, and I might actually watch it tonight. So,
yeah, that's a great one. I know. I need to find like somewhere to stream it, honestly, because buying it is near impossible.
It's hard. Yeah,
yeah.
I bought it 3 years ago on DVD. I wanted it on Blu-ray, but it was like $100 and something because it's out of print.
Yeah.
So it's hard to find that movie like anywhere. And if you do find it, it's going to be super expensive. But I think you can stream it on like Amazon Prime or maybe
that's
even
true.
YouTube.
Yeah, I think you can rent it on Amazon. I'll have to check it
Yeah,
out.
you can rent it.
Yeah, this one's a fave for sure. I want to see a Blu-ray release, so pulling for that.
Yeah, maybe Screen Factory would jump on that and do a new Blu-ray version of that. That would be decent if they do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna start bugging them.
Yeah, please. We'll add them and DM them and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, now number two. I'm so curious. Since Black Christmas, I would think that you would have that on your list, the '06 one. But now that you don't have that on the list, I'm so curious what's going to be what's on your last two.
Yeah, so number two is Anna and the Apocalypse. So Anna and the Apocalypse, the 2017 Christmas zombie musical by John McPhail. This movie I saw for the first time last year, and it immediately just like won me over. Like, I'm talking like it was just one of those movies while watching it. Like, I had those feelings from like, I love this movie and I'm going to rewatch this all the time. And I mean, I'm a sucker for musicals. I wish we had more horror musicals. And I think this one just nails it all the way through. Like, every song is super catchy. Like, it's big, it's extravagant, it has heart. Again, just feels like Christmas, like all the Christmas lighting, the talent show going on, like the snowman decorations, and like the just does really like the candy cane like fighting obviously is huge. And yeah, this movie it was also, so like I watched this movie, the first time I saw it was the year I got divorced, and it was a really hard year for me. And honestly, like, this movie was there for me, like, during that time. It was one of those things, like, it was a rough holiday, like, first holiday that I didn't have my ex with me, and I was kind of like bumming, and like this movie, I saw it and it like grabbed hold of my heart, and it was like, no, it's okay, you can still feel good. So it has a very special place in my heart because of that too.
Yeah.
But I just think it's a ton of fun. I put the soundtrack on all the time. And it's just like a really smart, like, even beyond all the like music and stuff, like, it's just a really smart, like, well written, well made movie.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know what? I seen it for the first time last year, and I actually watched that movie today,
All right.
earlier today, because it was on Hulu, and I remember I started to watch it again because I didn't remember too many things about it from the first time I watched it. So I said I want to rewatch it, and I rewatched it, and I'm in love with it. I'm in love with the movie. I have to get the soundtrack or stream it because there's a particular song in there. Like, all the music in that movie is great, but there's a particular part in a movie in a song that I love a lot, and I'm gonna get the name of it. I'm gonna find it and then I'll probably like at you and let you know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Let me
It's
know.
yeah, but it's a certain song and a certain scene where the movie captured me, and I was just like, all right. I mean, the song captured me, so I was just like, all right.
Yeah.
This
No
this,
such
this
thing.
is the
No
movie.
such thing as a Hollywood ending was for me. That's like, I love it so much. So
Yeah, and then that ending too. I was happy, but then at the, I'm not going to get away because I want you guys, everybody just watching to watch it. But I will say that kind of sorry, when she was helping somebody escape. I'm not going to say who, whatever the case might be, and then it kind of was just like, can't come with me. um, so I was sad about that part. But overall, that's a great pick, man. That's a dope movie. I love that movie.
yeah, man.
Yeah, End of the Apocalypse. Yes. Okay. Well, my number two is something that you already chose. Krampus 2015. I had to put that on here. Because like I said, I'm not going to get into it too much because I already talked about it with you. But each year I grow to love the movie more and more. Just the cinematography, everything about it, the characters, even though the characters are horrible, it kind of makes up for it at the end where they deserve to get, you know, because how they were acting throughout the movie, they deserve it. So you can't have a Krampus movie if you have like a happy-go-lucky family. So I think the movie plays the way it did for a reason. And that's why I like Michael Dougherty. I feel like like when he does these movies, he has like this mascot. And even though Krampus is not his character, but for his movie, how he made Krampus, it's perfect because how he did with Sam, where if you don't celebrate the holiday, you know, he's going to go out there and make you appreciate the holiday, or you're going to regret it. And it's kind of the same way with Krampus, you know, like we're just like, oh, you take the holiday for granted, whatever. You don't, you know, y'all all Scrooges or whatever. I'm going to give y'all something to be a Scrooge for or about. So that's why I love the movie so much. And just the whole thing is just great. And I think everybody should watch it and appreciate it more. It's a good movie.
Yeah,
So yeah.
no, I love that point you made too about how he kind of uses Krampus as like that Sam analog, which I don't know how I never made that before, but yeah, I mean, I know it's like Michael Dougherty's probably sitting over there like, guys, I'm tired of holiday movies, but I'm like, no, make them all. Like, make all the holiday horror movies.
I said that. I was like, just do it. Like, you will be the new man. You will be the guy to go to when it's time to make a new holiday horror movie. So when it's time for Easter and we need a new Easter movie, then you do it. We are lacking Thanksgiving Day movies. Do a Thanksgiving movie. Like, it's time. Call Michael Dougherty. He knows what he's doing. So
yeah, no, I'm for it.
I know he probably don't want to be like staple as that guy, but I think it's kind of like too late. Just go with it, bro.
Too late. Sorry, Mike. Too late, man.
It's too late.
We're pigeonholing
you. Yeah, exactly. And I love the score in both those movies too, Trick or Treat and Krampus. The score is great. Shout out to Douglas Pipes because he does an amazing score. And it's so funny because I did my review for the movie Pilgrim on Hulu. Mm-hmm. And that's obviously a Thanksgiving horror episode on that series. And the score for that movie sounded very familiar. And I talked about this in my video too. And I was just like, this sounds like something Michael Dougherty would have. And then when I Googled it, it happened to be Douglas Pipes who did Trick or Treat and Krampus. And I'm like, he's doing a Thanksgiving movie. I'm like, they should have called Michael Dougherty to direct this damn movie. It would have been amazing. And it's kind of like the same concept. Like the Pilgrims is trying to show these people to be grateful because, you know, they don't appreciate anything. And I'm like, that's on the same realm of what Michael Dougherty would do. Number one.
All right. Should we mention honorable mentions before number one?
That's a good idea. So how many honorable mentions do you have? Because I got like maybe like 4, 5.
I have 5. I'll breeze through them.
Okay.
So my 5. So part of it was Black Xmas, like you and I talked about. And then I even put Black Christmas 2019 on there because that's another one that I just had a lot of fun with. And I think a lot of people are going to come around on that movie, like given a little bit of space and time from all the internet vitriol that unfortunately plagued it. Nightmare Before Christmas is always going to have a spot in my heart, like no matter what. So like I had to put that on because, again, I love a musical. I mean, we get a Christmas horror musical in that. It's given us all these iconic, legendary characters. Danny Elfman's score. I know Tim Burton came up with the idea, but Henry Selick's direction, just like I love all that. The original Silent Night, Deadly Night is on there. Yeah, I just love that movie. I mean, I think it like really flips, you know, we follow mostly we follow the killer in that movie. It's a very like different, like kind of bait and switch from like a normal slasher movie. And again, just, you know, he's wearing the Santa suit and we have like a sledding kill. And we have all these like wild kind of like that movie like really goes for it too. And I just saw that for the first time a couple and just absolutely loved it. And then kind of another sneaky one. So ATM, the movie at Christmas.
Okay.
If you've never seen it, it's like pretty solid, like very minimal budget, like slasher psychological horror movie about it just traps these people in an ATM ventricle, and like you don't think it'd be interesting, but they managed to make it like pretty like tense. And again, like, you know, it's like cold out, the killer's got a parka. You know, I think they're there after like an office Christmas party. So like it hits those like kind of same vibes. And that's another one that I think gets slept on a lot. So like check out ATM. And those are my honorables. Those are my honorables. So what are your honorables before we move on to number one, I guess?
Okay. Well, some of my honorables is the ones that made on your list. So one of them is Better Watch Out because I mean, that's one of the newer ones that I grew to love, like I mentioned on here. But for me, it just didn't quite beat the other ones I enjoyed so much. But I don't know, maybe by next year it'll change. I feel like my
Right.
list fluctuates. It goes back and forth. So this might actually make it on the list. So Better Watch Out is definitely on there. Silent Night, Deadly Night, the first one, like you, is on there. Didn't quite make it on there because for that movie, I wanted probably a little bit more Christmassy stuff going on in
Yeah.
that. I mean, you do got him dressed up as Santa and naughty and all the other stuff or whatever, but I just wanted more Christmassy and stuff in there. Like how we
Yeah.
mentioned before, we want that more in our Christmas movies and stuff. So that made it onto there. The movie P2. Have you seen P2 before?
Great movie. Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good
P2 is
one.
on there. Yeah, that's a good one. I've seen that movie around the same time I've seen Santa's Sleigh. I love that movie a lot. I watch that movie every year as well. But it just doesn't quite hit the whole Christmassy thing, or whatever. But it is very suspenseful. You don't know what's going to happen by the end of the movie. You think, the person is going to make it or whatever by the end of the movie, and it leaves your mind boggled and all over the damn place, and it's just a lot of crazy moments. So P2 is on there. And then I also have this is not necessarily a you might argue with me that it's not necessarily a horror, but I'm saying that it's a horror. So I'm saying Bill Murray's and Scrooged.
All right. Hey, Scrooge has some strong horror elements. I can dig it.
Yes, I mean, look, Scrooge is all right. It is a comedy, but it has a lot of horror elements in it. You know what I mean? When I was a kid, when I first watched that movie, I was scared of that old zombie dude in the beginning. Telling Bill Murray that you're going to get like 3 ghosts visiting you. He was horrible. The Reaper at the end, he was horrible. And then when you pull back his like robe, you see like the little demon things inside of him. That was scary.
Yeah.
But overall Scrooge is just an amazing movie or whatever. But I think that's my honorable mentions there. Yeah, that's all I have.
That's a good list, man. No, Scrooge is, when you talk about gateway horror, it's like sometimes a horror movie, it doesn't have to be horror all the way through. It's like those moments, right? That like get you. And those are the ones that scare you. And you kind of go like, oh, I really like what that made me feel like. Where do I find more of that? No, I dig it. Cool. So my number one is obviously, like I've mentioned every other one. So my number one is Black Christmas from 1974.
Same. You can't have nothing else other than that. You can't.
Yeah, it's the Bob Clark classic. Like to me, it's wild that Bob Clark made 2 of the best Christmas movies ever in very different genres.
Christmas Story. And I was today. Well, I was like last year's year old when I found it because I reviewed Black Christmas 74 last year for my channel. And when I was doing research, I'm like, Bob Clark, that sounds familiar. And I was like, wait, he did A Christmas Story. And I'm like, how?
Yeah, he just made 2 great Christmas movies in the exact opposite side of the spectrum. But I'm so like I said, slashers are my favorite genre, and Black Christmas is it's considered a proto slasher because it did come out pre Halloween, which Halloween is like the movie that kind of codified like that genre. But like you can see all the blueprints for what would go on to be slasher movies in Black Christmas, right? And like
Exactly.
Yeah, and I just love, as much as I love Black Xmas and what it does, the killer in this is so scary because it's like the anonymity of the killer is like really terrifying. You do really get to know all these girls in the house. Like that time that we miss with them in Black Xmas, it's spent with them here. And, there's some like really deep messaging in this movie. There's this whole underlying plot about abortion and like it's very like female forward and like which I think it's one of the first like horror movies to really do that, and like we kind of spun things on their head, and even though they're still killed, like these women are capable and smart and put up a fight, and and just as far as like Christmas trappings and themes go, just nails it, like it just nails all of those feelings in this like really smart, well done, like super well crafted slasher movie. So it's like, it's funny because like if you were to ask top 5 it's hard sometimes. I'm like, when people are like, what are your favorites? I'm like, well, like, what's the most fun, or what's the most scary, or like what, like,
Right.
what's the best made? And that's like, like I have fun with all the Black Christmas movies, but like when I look at 74, like it's probably the one I have the least amount of fun with, because like it can be so heavy
Yeah.
and it's so serious, but like it's so well
Yeah, it's
done.
deep.
Yeah. But it's so well done at the end of the day. I still put it
Yeah.
above the others because every time I watch it, I'm just like, God damn, that's a movie. Like that's a movie.
Hmm. Yeah, especially the ending. Like, I remember when I first, like, I seen this movie throughout the years, but I never really paid attention. And then when I finally did pay attention to the movie, I said, you know what, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna watch this movie, and I was by myself, and I sat there and I paid attention to it. And when, like, even though the ending don't really leave too many like crazy surprises, it's something sinister about that ending where it feel like, all right, this is not over, and there's like no like music at the end of it. You just credits,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's like really it. And I'm just like, I don't know, like that ending left me with goosebumps. The whole movie did, and like you mentioned before, like all of these characters, you get to know a little bit, like everybody's favorite character, including mine, is Barb. Like, because Barb, she just didn't give a fuck, throughout the whole movie. Like, she was drunk majority of the damn movie. And she was a lot of fun along with the house mother. The house mother was another one that I enjoyed a lot because she was funny. So you did have funny moments on there, but you also did, like you said, have your heavy moments where you have Olivia Hussey's character going through, she's pregnant, and then they talk about abortion, and she doesn't want to keep it because she wants to move on, where her boyfriend, he wants to keep it. So, and then you got this crazy killer calling, messing with these girls, and they have to deal with that. And then when you get to the climax, the third act of the film, it starts to go like wild from there. And you actually feel bad for these girls in the movie,
Oh yeah.
especially at the end of the movie, you know what I mean? And the one part that always get me is where it's just Olivia Hussey's character. What's her name? What's the character she plays?
Jess.
Jess, yeah, Jess. When it's just Jess, and she, discover her friend, she's trying to get out the house or whatever. And there's this one particular shot where she's like running from the door to like another part, and like Billy grabs her and like yanks her by the hair. For some reason, that part always get me. And it's something small, but it's just something that just like tugged at me, like, oh my gosh. The whole movie overall is just good, and it screams Christmas as well. It feels cold. That's another movie that feels cold. Like when you watch it, even you can watch that movie in the summertime and you still feel cold.
Mm-hmm.
And if that movie has that effect on you, then it did a great job. So that's, and also like you, I do have the least fun with this movie. That's why I put Black Xmas on this list, because I have more fun with that movie. But I love this movie so much just because it is serious, and it is a little bit more, it's creepy, it's disturbing, it's, you do get chills watching this movie, and you do feel for the characters in here. And it's the OG. I would say it's one of the, if not the OG of slashers, that kind of started everything. And it is like the blueprint for Halloween. You see a lot of references in Halloween from this movie.
Oh yeah.
The point of view shots and just like all of that. So Black Christmas, I mean, I know a lot of people talk about it, but I want a lot of the younger generation to get into the 74 classic Black Christmas, because it's a great one.
Yeah, and we've got so many Black Christmas movies now. Like that's Christmas Day this year. I intend to watch all three. I'm
Yeah.
just like Christmas Day, all three Black Xmas's. Like let's just do it. Like I'm gonna just watch all three of them and just have because all three of them are so different too. It's not like you're not watching the same movie. Like three
they're
times
complete different movies.
Yeah. So, but I couldn't agree more with you. Just like I said, it's one of those like. It's a classic slasher movie. It set up so much of the foundation for what would go on to become the genre. And it's just like, it's one of those movies when you watch it, it's just so well made and competent. And like, like you said, those little moments where he grabs her by the hair, like those are the moments where you're like, whew, that movie gets you.
Yeah, definitely. And I would love to, All right, so I'm not on a really hate train of Black Christmas 2019 because I do like parts of the movie. I think the problem I had with that movie, and it has nothing to do with the whole feminism thing, because I actually love that. I love that, and like my horror movies are like hell fucking yes, but I didn't feel like Black Christmas, and just my opinion, Black Christmas was the right title for it, just
Mm,
because of the content that we got. You know what I mean?
right.
Because it is a different movie. It is way different. And I don't know. It's going to take some time to grow on me a little. I did watch it again recently, and it's going to take some time to grow on me. I do like a couple characters, and I could argue with other people with certain scenes that they didn't like as far as the whole feminism thing, because I always will back that. I feel like we need to see more female lead horror movies, like the whole cast like that, and they just need more respect on their names. But I just had a problem, I guess, overall with the whole I guess the villain
Yeah,
in the
I can
movie.
understand. Yeah,
Like that part, I think that's the part that I just wasn't really feeling too much.
right.
Um but other than, and then also like some of the lines, but that's another some of the dialogue in there I'm just like
I think it's one of those movies, right? You just have to disconnect it, right? You go in.
yeah.
If that movie wasn't called Black Christmas, like what do you think you'd still have those problems? And I'm like, probably not.
Right. Probably not.
Right.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I like for me, I just make the disconnect of like, yeah, it's called Black Christmas, but like this is not a movie that is trying to be what these other two movies were. It took like a very, very basic the college setting. And other than that, it really doesn't have anything else in common. So I kind of just go in like, all right, this is Black Christmas 2019 and it's completely disconnected. It's almost like an anthology, right? Like instead of like, it's like, all right, like if they made a new Black Christmas every year and they were all just like college Christmas horror, I'd probably still love it. So
Yeah.
like I kind of go into it with that.
Yeah. I like that. I like that. I like how you think of it like that, because if you look at the original and then like Black Xmas and then that one, they are different from each other. I mean, the original and Black Xmas '06 obviously do have some comparisons to it, because you both have a character on there named Billy, and then you have like the calls on the phone and that whole situation there. And some of the characters, I think at least one of the characters or two of the characters had the same name as the original. So there is that, but it's still a complete different movie, because Billy gets a backstory where in a remake, where in the original you don't know nothing about this character. And then on 2019, it's just like all that is kind of out the window. It's like a whole different situation, which I do appreciate. I will say that I do appreciate that part in there. I just wish that it ended a little differently, and that's all. But again, my mind might change by next year, because I will say what I'm saying now, and my appreciation for Black Christmas 2019. It wasn't the same feelings when I first seen the movie. When I first seen it, I was upset.
Right.
But now I kind of enjoy it a little bit more. So I think it's going to take some time to grow on me.
For sure. No, and that's a lot of, I mean, I feel like that's a lot of horror in general, right? So like one of the cool things about horror fans is that we constantly come back to movies and reevaluate them. So I'll be interested. I'll have to check in next year and ask what your opinion on it is.
All right, man. There goes our list. Our top 5 Christmas horror movies that we enjoy so much.
I think that's a solid, like anyone who listens to this episode, you got like, honestly, because they're honorable mentions, you got like 20 movies you can take away from this and really just run the holidays.
Oh yeah, totally. So for all you guys that's watching and listening, I'm curious to know y'all thoughts. If y'all haven't seen it already, check out these movies that me and Ryan have talked about, and if so, let us know in the comments below what are your guys' thoughts. But yeah, I'm so happy that you did this with me, man. And I'm happy that we spoke. And I said, you know what? Like, I'm gonna get him on for the Christmas one, because I was supposed to have you on a while ago, but then they had top issues, and then other stuff was happening or whatever. And I was like, you know what, Ryan, I'm gonna get him on for a Christmas episode, and I'm happy you came on, my bro.
Hey man, I appreciate it. Seriously, just even the offer, it means a lot. And I if you follow me, you kind of know I've pigeonholed myself as the guy who loves Cursed.
Yes, we have to talk about that sometime too, please.
Yeah. So I mean, I love
that
Cursed.
movie.
And I love slasher movies, but I just love horror in general. And you could hit me up for pretty much anything. Like, hey, you want to talk about this? I'm like, yeah, I got stuff in every genre I love, right? So like in every subgenre of horror, I got something I know. It was awesome when you were like, hey, you want to come on and talk like Christmas horror? And I was like, dude, I love holiday horror movies, like every holiday. And so when you asked me for that, I was like, yeah, I got some big time favorites. I'd love to like hop on here. So no, I appreciate it. Truly. I really, really do.
No, of course, man. Anytime. I've been wanting to have you on for a while now. When I first reached out to you about it, I want to have you on because you just always just been a big and huge. And I'm going back into like what I talked about in the beginning before we started our top 5. That you're a huge part of the horror community, especially on Twitter. You're out there. You're there for people, supporting them. And not even just that aside, you're just a great person to talk horror with. And then like you love Cursed, like that movie don't get too much love. Like I love Cursed. Like when I found out that you love Cursed, I'm like, oh my gosh, somebody else is with me.
Yeah,
because
no,
that movie.
Yeah, that movie's a trip. Yeah. It's I mean, it's wild, and I'm always happy to find a fan. Anytime I find someone else, I'm always like, join the pack because we need more of us that love this wild, weird movie.
Yeah, so good. I remember seeing that for the first time, but we can get into that in another episode because we can have a whole episode talking about Cursed.
There you go, man. Just let me know. I'm happy to come back.
I got you. When that time comes, because I'm gonna do a whole werewolf like episode segment thing because I want more werewolf movies. So you're my guy for that. I got you.
There we go. I would love it. Just let me know.
Awesome. Well, Ryan, before we go, where can everybody find you?
Cool. Yeah. So I mean, you can check me out. Like like Bobby mentioned at the top of the show, I am the editor and founder of Ghastly Grinning, which is a horror website that is all positive and celebratory news, and that's ghastlygrinning.com. I'm a founder for the We Are Horror Zine, which you can find online.com/We Are Horror, which is a bi-monthly horror e-zine that supports marginalized voices. 80% of every issue is guaranteed to be written by female writers, by people in the LGBTQIA community, Black, Indigenous people of color, disabled. We try to shine a light on just the marginalized voices that we need to hear more women to make space at the table. And then you can find more of my writing. I've been writing for Consequence of Sound. I covered Beyond Fest for them, and I'll be doing more stuff. And then also I have my monthly column over at Bloody Disgusting, which is You Ought to Know, and that's an examination of 2000s horror movies. Keep Screaming Podcast, and I'm on Twitter at Ryan Larson. So you can reach out to me whenever you want to and talk to me about whatever you want to talk about, but especially horror movies, comic books, or emo music.
I love it. That is amazing, man. You are quite the busy person, busy guy. And I just wanted to say that everything that you're doing is just great. Horrorzine, when I seen like the work in that, amazing. Just like reading all of like everybody's like, stories and just like their columns and their pieces, just so amazing. I'm happy that you did something like that. Like, and it's only going to get bigger from there. Like I already see it growing, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger. So keep doing your thing, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And I appreciate all the support. And, we wouldn't be able to do it without horror fans and without the amazing writers and like Tyler, Danny, and Terry, who founded and edit the zine with me. Like those three are three of the hardest working people, most passionate, genuine, honest people I've ever met. So very fortunate to know them and be able to work alongside them. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
No, of course. Everybody's been great, and I just can't wait to see more work from from all you guys, and just again keep doing your thing. 2021, I like when all of this hopefully calms down, as far as Corona and COVID or whatever. I even if it doesn't happen in 2021, I want to meet you guys eventually in person.
Oh hell yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah,
that'll happen.
totally.
Yeah, I'm gonna meet all these Twitter people. That's my goal, right? Like,
Yeah.
I want to meet all these people.
Same. Like already like making I'm not making a list, but it's just like it's like there's already a lot of people that I want to meet and just like hang out with, and maybe even do like a panel with or whatever, just because all the content that we are doing and building and things like that. And everybody just been great. So hopefully I look forward to meeting you soon, buddy, in person,
Yeah, man.
hopefully.
Yeah,
When all of this. Yeah. I mean, I make trips to Cali every now and then. So whenever time allows me, and I guess Corona willing, then
yeah,
we'll
exactly.
happen. Yeah, definitely.
Sounds good. We'll plan on it.
All right. Well, that's the end of the show. Thanks again, Ryan. I really, really appreciate you, man. And definitely check out my guy, Ryan. Everything that he's just mentioned, I can't repeat all of it because it was a lot. But check him out. Check him out.
Yeah, thank you. Subscribe to Bobby. Subscribe. Is this where you go? Like, I don't do YouTube. Subscribe. Wherever that button. There you go.
It's somewhere. I think it's underneath you. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm on here. I should know. All right. Thanks again, guys. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to this video channel. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe. And thanks again for watching. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.